Did you know that Nigerians played one of the biggest roles in ending apartheid in South Africa?
Nigeria has given us a lot of financial and material support.
Funding liberation fighters to pushing for global sanctions against apartheid government, Nigerians stood with South Africans when the world remained silent.
They have assisted us, not only in the form of funds, and in that respect, they have been among the most generous donors to our cause.
In this video, I present to you how Nigeria supported South Africa in apartheid. Now,
our people are being killed in South Africa unjustly. What is going on in South Africa is unacceptable. It's the greatest crime against humanity. Nigerians fought for South Africans. We know what we did for them. And today they are paying us back by slaughtering our people. It's not acceptable.
This story has become very important and necessary at this time when South Africans are chasing Nigerians out of their country to go fix their country, which is not bad, but the way and manner that the agenda is being propagated is what is causing trouble.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
In recent times, angry South Africans led by Operation Dudula, some other institutions, and even sometimes the MK party have stood, demonstrated and protested against Nigerians living in South Africa. But the fiery Julius Malema recently got invited to Enugu Nigeria Lawyers Bar Association, their annual conference, and he made some revelations which has prompted me to make this video to further explain this for people to know the history that exists between Nigeria and South Africa, so that when you are taking any decision against Nigerians, you think about it critically, because today it is Nigerians, tomorrow it might be you.
Guys, if you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
Nigeria set up Southern African Relief Fund, mobilizing its citizens to contribute to the liberation struggle, even as it faced its own challenges at home.
Now, Julius Malema in the Nigerians Bar Association annual conference revealed that Nigeria is not just a friend. In fact, they are a comrade to South Africa because Nigeria supported South Africa during apartheid. In fact, they did a number of things. Now, one of the things they did was in 1976, the government created an account known as the South African Relief Fund, SAF. Now, this account was to contribute to help South African freedom fighters fight the government through apartheid. In a term known as 1 naira, 1 South African, through this fund, millions of dollars were generated, which in turn was used to support the ANC and other freedom fighters in fighting against apartheid in South Africa. At a time when Nigerians were even fighting their own problems,
these initiatives raised millions of dollars to support the liberation of South Africa. People paid directly from their salaries to contribute to the liberation of the people of South Africa. Nigerian students sacrificed a portion of their income through the Mandela tax, which supported an educational training program for black South Africans, and successive Nigerian governments never stopped in their material and moral support for South Africa's liberation. In fact, Nigerian government boycotted the 1976 Olympic Games and the 1979 Commonwealth Games in protest and in opposition to apartheid government.
this was a time when Nigerians were facing their own problems, fighting terrorism and trying to make their country a better place. But they sacrificed and made these contributions just to support South Africa get out of apartheid.
We cannot forget all those who stood by us during difficult times. Nor can we forget that when Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, One of his earliest international visits was to Lagos and Abuja to personally thank the Nigerian people. This gesture, a foundation of a bond sealed in blood and sacrifice.
Equally important, as you know, I have been in prison for 27 years. People of Nigeria. Nigeria has given us a lot of financial and material support. They have assisted us not only in the form of funds, and in that respect, they have been among the most generous donors to our coffers.
Another support that Nigeria also did for South Africa is that Nigeria used its global voice. They pushed for economic and sports sanctions and even pushed through the OAU, Organization of African Union, and the United Nations, UN, to make South Africa a pariah state again. They campaigned to kick South Africa out of the Commonwealth Games and further ban them from global sports like the Olympics. In fact, Nigeria went a step forward and boycotted the 1976 Olympic Games and the 1979 Commonwealth Games in protest for apartheid government in South Africa.
However, this history must not remain in the past. This bond between South Africa and Nigeria must be carried forward into the present, not just in political sentiment, but in concrete economic collaboration. Both our nations stand as giants of the continent. South Africa, with its industrial base, mining capacity, and advanced financial system. Nigeria, with its vast population, vibrant entrepreneurial spirit, oil and gas resources, and cultural dynamism that has captured the imagination of the world. Together, we hold the keys to Africa's industrialization and economic independence.
Nigerian students also sacrificed a portion of their income through the Mandela tax to supported educational training programs for South Africans. Nigerians again supported South African freedom fighters to fight through the apartheid. Now, one of the things they also did was that they provided military training and logistics to South African freedom fighters to be able to fight apartheid in South Africa. They also gave South African passports to ANC members to travel globally and rally support to be able to fight apartheid in South Africa. And this was when they didn't have passport to travel due to the apartheid government in South Africa. But Nigeria stood by them and supported them with a Nigerian passport. But today, a Nigerian cannot own a South African passport. Even if you do, they will say you don't speak Zulu. So they won't allow you access healthcare in South Africa.
Are you immigration? You are not an immigration. This is my ID book. And this is my ID book. And then give me the right. No, you don't have the right. Come and take advantage. No, you are not an. Are you an immigration officer? Are you immigration officer? Then this is my ID. I am from the This is my ID. I have an ID. You don't have one. No. Call an immigration. No. Hey, back up!
Now, whilst in apartheid, Nigerians educated several South Africans. Nigeria opened its doors for South Africans to study in their universities while prepared to build their country, South Africa, after apartheid. And this was because under apartheid, South Africans, in fact, education was reserved for only white South Africans. They were not allowed to access education, and the kind of education South Africans had was very mediocre. In fact, proper education in apartheid was only reserved for the South African who were white. And so Nigerians opened its doors, its universities, and gave proper education and training to South Africans who were willing to study in their universities, so that after apartheid, they could take over South Africa and rebuild South Africa like it's happening right now. Nigerians have supported South Africa, right? Now, as a gesture or as a sign of thanksgiving, when Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, one of the countries that he visited was Nigeria, just to say thank you to a beloved friend. So, Nigeria and South Africa have this history which has been there. They've returned a helping hand to South Africa. So the least South Africans could do was to also show a sign of being grateful or gratefulness to Nigerians. Nelson Mandela even once said that Nigeria is a true friend of South Africa. This is history, and we should never forget this. Now, to end this video, I will end with a quote that Julius Malema quoted. Xenophobia is a betrayal of African unity. It's a sickness born out of poverty, inequality, and government failure, but its results ends up on African brothers. My name is Kweku Africa. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this good news to South Africans and Nigerians. Let them know the history of how South Africa and Nigeria used to exist. It's a wrap for today.
Consider what lies beneath our soils. Nigeria is blessed with abundant oil, natural gas, and growing agricultural sector. South Africa holds some of the richest deposits of platinum, gold, manganese, and coal in the world. Combined, we possess the minerals that power modern technology, the energy resources that fuel global industry, and the human capital to build a self-sufficient continent. Yet, both our nation remains trapped in neo-colonial arrangements where our raw materials are extracted cheaply and exported to Europe, America, and Asia, only to be sold back to us at crazy prices as finished goods. This is a cycle of dependency we must break. The path forward is clear. Nigeria and South Africa must industrialize together, build factories together, and process our resources on African soil. Imagine a joint program where South African mining expertise is combined with Nigerian oil wealth to create African-owned energy and resources conglomerate, one that refines, processes, and manufactures for Africa and the world. Imagine agricultural cooperation where Nigeria fertile lands provide food security for the continent, supported by South African machinery, logistics, and technology. Imagine a collaborative investment in renewable energy where South Africa's solar potential and Nigeria gas reserves are harnessed to build an integrated African power grid. Already, we have glimpses of what is possible. South African companies such as MTN, Spar, Shoprite, and MultiChoice have made significant inroads in Nigeria, creating jobs and bringing services. Nigerian businesses, investors, and cultural industries have equally expanded to South Africa. Nigerian music, filmmakers, writers influence South African culture, just as South African universities and industries provide platforms for Nigerian talent. But this cooperation has been uneven and at times marked by suspicion and the painful experience of xenophobia. Let me be unequivocal here. Xenophobia is a betrayal of African unity. It is a sickness born of inequality and government failure, but its victims are our African brothers and sisters. Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, and Somalis are not the cause of the South Africa's unemployment crisis. The cause lies in the untransformed economy of South Africa, which remains in the hands of white minority and multinational multinational corporations who continue to exploit labor while refusing to industrialize, attacking fellow Africans, diverts anger from the real enemy, and we must educate our people that unity, not division, is the solution to the African crisis. If we want to end one-way migration, where Nigerians are forced to leave home in search of opportunity in South Africa, we must integrate our economies. Young Nigerian engineers should be able to work in Johannesburg, Gaborone, Windhoek, Harare, Cairo, and Accra, not as foreigners, but as Africans contributing to Africa. South African entrepreneurs should be able to set up in Lagos without suspicion, but with support as partner in the shared future. We must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people. We actually do not need a visa. We don't need a visa between South Africa and Nigeria, in the same way we don't need a visa for our people to travel in their own continent. We are one. Both South Africa and Nigeria know the pain of colonialism. Both have faced internal divisions. Both have enjoyed the pressures of global imperialism that seeks to divide and exploit and control us. Both know that the only path forward is Pan-African solidarity. We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing. Our salvation lies here in Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans who refuse to be divided. Together, Nigeria and South Africa can lead African continent free trade area not as a paper agreement, but as a living reality that changes the lives of ordinary people. Together, we can demand fair trade, protect our industries, and invest in education, technology, innovation. Together, we can prove that Africa is not a begging bowl, but a continent of giants. We must prove to the whole world that we are not xenophobic, we love one another. Black people are not loved in Africa and are not loved outside Africa. We have a duty to love ourselves and show the whole world on how it must treat us. We cannot treat each other badly and expect other people to treat us much better. How you treat your own brother and your own sister, it's how you teach others outside how they must treat you. The unity of our continent is paramount, and we must never associate with any xenophobic agenda that perpetuates the divisions in South Africa. Solidarity is what we need for each other. My comrades, as I close, I want to state that as Africans, our fight has never been confined to the borders. From the very beginning, the struggle of South Africa against apartheid, we knew that suffering of one oppressed people anywhere in the world is the suffering of all oppressed people everywhere. It was in that spirit that South Africa, during its liberation struggle, was embraced by Nigeria and other African nations, who declared that apartheid was not simply a South African problem, but an African and global crime. It is in that same spirit that today we say our liberation as Africans will remain incomplete if we turn a blind eye to the struggles of those who continue to suffer under occupation, colonialism, imperialism, and economic exploitation.